In The Eyes of Neema, the young girl from Aqua discovers that her ability to see into people's souls isn't just a gift, it's a dangerous power that can change lives or destroy them. When her closest friend, Zola, becomes consumed by envy and summons dark forces, Neema is forced to confront her own fears and the true nature of her abilities. As shadows close in and betrayal strikes, Neema must decide whether to use her power to save her village or risk losing herself in the process. Will her gift be her salvation or her downfall? The fate of Aqua hangs in the balance, and the answer is more terrifying than she ever imagined. The sun was setting over the village of Aqua, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange. In the heart of the village, Neema sat by the well, her eyes reflecting the fiery glow of the evening light. Neema's eyes were unlike anyone else's, they could see beyond what was visible. They could peer into a person's soul, revealing their deepest secrets. Most people in the village admired Neema for her gift, but a few feared what she might discover about them. As Neema lowered her gaze, she noticed Amani, the village elder, approaching her. His steps were slow, but his eyes held a strange urgency. "Neema," he said, his voice low, "we need to talk." The weight of his words settled in the air. Neema knew that when Amani spoke like this, something serious was happening. "Is everything okay, Amani?" Neema asked, her heart beating faster. She tried to meet his gaze, but Amani looked away, avoiding her eyes. That was the first sign of trouble. Amani sighed, rubbing his forehead. "There's something, someone has been asking questions about you, Neema. Powerful people, from far away. They want to know more about your gift. I fear they have dark intentions." Neema felt a chill crawl up her spine. She had always known her ability was special, but now it seemed that her gift had drawn unwanted attention. That night, as Neema lay in bed, she couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Her eyes, which once brought her comfort and admiration, now felt like a curse. Who were these people Amani spoke of? Why were they interested in her? She couldn't sleep, tossing and turning as the village grew quiet around her. Outside, the wind howled, and the trees whispered secrets Neema couldn't understand. Suddenly, she heard a soft knock on her door. Her heart leaped into her throat. No one visited this late at night. "Who's there?" Neema called out, her voice trembling. There was no answer, just another knock, louder this time. Neema rose from her bed and cautiously approached the door. She hesitated for a moment, her hand hovering over the latch. Taking a deep breath, she opened the door slowly. Standing in the shadows was a figure, cloaked in darkness. Only the glint of their eyes was visible. "Neema," the figure whispered, "you're in danger." The figure stepped forward, revealing themselves to be Sefu, a warrior from a neighboring village. Neema had heard of him before, though she had never spoken to him directly. His reputation as a skilled fighter was well known across the land, but what business did he have with her? "I don't have much time," Sefu said, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting someone to follow him. "You need to leave this village. Now." Neema's heart raced. "Why? What's going on?" Sefu's eyes narrowed, his expression grim. "There are those who believe your eyes can be used for dark purposes. They want to take you and force you to use your gift for their gain. If you stay here, you won't be safe." Neema felt her legs weaken. "But what about the village? What about my family?" Sefu shook his head. "They won't stop until they have you, Neema. If you stay, Aqua will be in danger. You must decide quickly." Neema's mind spun with fear and confusion. Could she really leave everything behind? Could she abandon her village to save herself? But if she stayed, would her presence bring more harm than good? Neema made the difficult decision to leave, but her heart ached as she packed her belongings. She felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, knowing that her gift, which she had once thought was a blessing, was now a curse. With Sephew by her side, she slipped through the village under the cover of night, her feet barely making a sound on the dirt path. They traveled in silence for hours, the moon their only guide. As they reached the edge of the forest, Sephew stopped abruptly, his hand on his sword. "We are being followed," he whispered. Neema's blood ran cold. "Who is it?" Sephew's eyes scanned the trees. "I don't know, but we need to keep moving. Stay close." Fear gripped Neema's heart as they hurried deeper into the forest. The sounds of footsteps echoed behind them, growing closer with each passing moment. Whoever was following them was relentless. As they reached a clearing, the footsteps stopped. Neema and Sephew turned, expecting to see their pursuer, but there was no one there. The silence was unnerving, and Neema's eyes darted around, searching for any sign of danger. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and the wind began to howl. Neema's eyes widened as she saw a figure emerging from the shadows, Zola, a woman from the village, but her face was twisted with malice. "Neema, you thought you could escape." Zola's voice was cold as ice. Neema's heart pounded in her chest. Zola had always been kind to her. What had changed? "Zola, why are you doing this?" Zola sneered. "Your gift, Neema. It's too powerful. If you don't give it to me, I'll take it by force." Neema's heart sank as she stared at Zola, once her trusted friend, now filled with rage and envy. "I never asked for this gift, Zola," Neema said, her voice trembling. "Why are you doing this?" Zola's eyes glinted in the moonlight. "You don't understand, Neema. Your eyes hold power that can control, destroy, or reveal truths too dangerous to know. I won't let you or anyone else stand in my way. I need that power for myself." Sephew stepped forward, his hand gripping his sword. "You will not touch her," he warned, his voice low and dangerous. Zola laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the forest. "You think you can stop me, warrior? You don't know what you're dealing with." Suddenly, Zola raised her hands, and a gust of wind blew through the clearing, swirling leaves and dirt into the air. Neema's eyes widened as she saw shadows moving within the wind, dark shapes with glowing eyes, closing in on her and Sephew. Zola had summoned something far more dangerous than they had anticipated. Sephew drew his sword, but Neema knew that even his strength would not be enough against the dark forces Zola had called upon. Fear gripped her, but deep inside, a fire began to stir. Her eyes, the same ones she had once cast, might be the only way to save them all. "Neema, run!" Sephew shouted as he slashed at one of the shadowy creatures, but Neema stood firm. She closed her eyes, feeling the power inside her rise. The world around her seemed to fade, and she could sense the souls of those nearby, the twisted darkness within Zola, the brave here. Neema opened her eyes, glowing with an intense light, and gazed directly at Zola. "Enough," she cried. "You won't take this power from me. I see what's inside you, Zola. You're not as strong as you think. The darkness you've embraced will destroy you." Zola recoiled, her face twisting in fear and fury. "No," she screamed, but it was too late. Neema's gaze pierced through the veil of evil that had consumed her. The shadows around them began to dissolve, the wind stilled, and the forest grew quiet. Zola fell to her knees, her strength draining away. "What have you done?" she whispered, her voice weak. Neema knelt beside her, her eyes now calm but filled with sorrow. "I didn't want this, Zola. But you let the darkness consume you. It's over." Tears filled Zola's eyes as she realized the weight of her choices. "I only wanted to be as special as you," she whispered. Neema sighed, placing a hand on Zola's shoulder. "We all have something special, Zola. Power doesn't come from taking, it comes from within. I wish you could have seen that before it was tea." With those words, Zola collapsed, her strength gone. The dark power she had tried to wield had left her empty, and Neema knew there was nothing more she could do for her. As the first light of dawn began to break through the trees, Neema and Sephew stood side by side, gazing at the horizon. The threat had passed, but the weight of the journey still lingered in their hearts. "Oh, late tea of Sephew," and the malevolent shadows creeping ever closer. "You saved us, Neema," Sephew said quietly. "Your gift, it's more than just seeing into souls. You have the power to change them." Neema nodded, though her heart still ached for the friend she had lost. "I only hope I can use this gift wisely, for the good of the village and everyone I love. I won't let it become a curse." Together, they began the long walk back to Aqua, the village that had always been home. Neema knew there would be more challenges ahead, more darkness to face, but she was no longer afraid. She had seen the strength within herself, and she knew that with courage and compassion, she could overcome anything. Back in Aqua, the villagers greeted Neema and Sephew with joy and relief. The danger had passed, and the village was safe once more. But as Neema looked into their eyes, she knew they all carried their own fears and secrets. She would have to decide, in time, how best to use her gift, but for now, she was content just to be home. The village elders gathered to thank Neema for her bravery. Amani, who had first warned her of the danger, placed his hand on her shoulder. "You've done more than save the village, Neema," he said. "You've shown us all that power is not to be feared when it's used with love." Neema smiled, though her heart still felt heavy with the memories of Zola. "I'll do my best to protect Aqua, and to use my gift wisely," she promised. That night, as the stars sparkled above the village, Neema sat quietly by the well, thinking about all that had happened. She had learned so much, about herself, about others, and about the fine line between light and darkness. The world was full of both, and it was up to her to choose the right path. Neema gazed into the sky, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she knew she would face them with courage. Her eyes, once a source of fear, were now a tool for good, and she would use them to protect her home and those she loved. The morning light filtered through the trees as Neema and Sephew returned to Aqua. The village, once filled with whispers of fear and uncertainty, now greeted them with quiet awe. People peered out of their homes, their faces a mixture of relief and reverence. Word of what Neema had done, how she had faced Zola, and the darkness had already spread through the village. A group of elders, led by Amani, gathered at the village square to meet them. Amani's wise eyes studied Neema, and though he smiled, his expression was one of deep thought. "You have done a great thing, Neema," he said, his voice carrying over the gathering crowd. "But you have also taken on a great burden." Neema nodded, feeling the weight of his words. She had always known her eyes were more than just a gift. They were a responsibility, one she now understood more deeply than ever before. "I will do what I must to protect Aqua," she said, her voice steady but soft. The crowd around them murmured in agreement, but Neema could sense the unease still lingering. While she had saved them from Zola, the villagers now knew the full extent of her power. Her eyes could see into their very souls, and that knowledge was unsettling for many. As the days passed, life in Aqua slowly returned to normal, but Neema felt a distance growing between herself and the others. People no longer met her gaze as easily as they once did. Children who used to play near her now kept their distance, their eyes wide with curiosity and fear. It was a silent reminder that while she had saved the village, she was now seen as something different, someone to be both revered and feared. One afternoon, as Neema sat by the well, Sephew approached her, his brow furrowed with concern. "Are you all right?" he asked, sitting beside her. Neema shrugged, her heart heavy. "I don't know. I saved the village, but now I feel like an outsider. They look at me as if I'm something to be afraid of." Sephew nodded, understanding her pain. "They fear what they don't understand. But in time, they will see that your power is not something to fear. You just need to show them that your gift can be used for good. Neema looked at him, her heart aching. And what if they never do? What if I'm always seen as a danger to them? Sephiu smiled gently. You are stronger than you think, Neema. You faced Zola and the darkness she tried to bring. You can face this too. Just give them time. As the weeks passed, Neema worked hard to show the village that her gift was not a curse. She helped the sick, using her sight to sense the sickness in their bodies. She aided the hunters, guiding them to the best spots where game was plentiful. Slowly, the villagers began to trust her again, though the fear never fully left their eyes. But one night, as Neema sat in her home, she felt a strange presence. The air grew thick, and a chill ran down her spine. She turned to see the faint outline of a figure standing in the shadows of her room. Zola. Neema whispered, her voice barely audible. The figure stepped forward, and though it looked like Zola, it was not. It was a shadow of her former friend, a ghostly figure, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. I'm sorry, Neema, Zola's voice echoed softly, a whisper carried on the wind. I was wrong. I let the darkness consume me. Neema's heart ached at the sight of her once friend, now just a shadow of what she had been. Zola, I didn't want this to happen. I never wanted you to suffer. Zola shook her head. It's too late for me, but not for you. Don't let your gift become a curse. Use it wisely, Neema. Protect the village, but also protect yourself. Don't let the power consume you. Neema reached out, but before she could touch Zola, the figure faded, leaving behind only the cold breeze of the night. The next morning, Neema woke with a renewed sense of purpose. Zola's visit had been a reminder of the fine line she walked. Her gift, though powerful, could easily become a burden if she let fear or darkness control her. She would not let that happen. Neema spent the following months using her gift to help the village in ways she had never imagined. She became a healer, a guide, and a protector. Though some still feared her power, they also began to see her as a force for good. One evening, as the village gathered around the fire for a celebration, Amani stood and addressed the crowd. We have been through much this year, he began, his voice strong and clear. But we have also learned much. Neema has shown us that great power does not have to be feared. It can be used for the good of all. The villagers murmured in agreement, and for the first time in months, Neema felt truly at peace. Sephiu, standing beside her, smiled. You've done it, Neema. You've shown them who you really are. Neema nodded, a soft smile on her face. I didn't do it alone. As the fire crackled and the stars shone brightly overhead, Neema knew that her journey was far from over. But she was no longer afraid. She had faced darkness, both within others and within herself, and had come out stronger. Her eyes, once a source of fear and confusion, were now a beacon of hope and protection for her village. No matter what challenges lay ahead, Neema knew she was ready. Thank you so much for following along with The Eyes of Neema. What did you think of Neema's journey? Do you believe her gift was a blessing or a curse? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what lessons you took away from this story. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and share it with your friends and family. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Neema's choices and how she used her power. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next adventure. And remember, there's always more to come. Watch out for the next video. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye for now.